You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. A Monday transfer portal window officially opens, and it's been busy for the LSU Tigers, to say the very least. Obviously, players can make their intentions known. So, in the last week, since the regular season wrapped up, we had double-digit announcements of the intention to enter the portal from quarterback Ricky Collins and receivers Landon Ibieta, C.J. Daniels, Shelton Sampson, Deshaun Womack, Jordan Allen, safety Kylan Jackson, freshman cornerback Bernard Causey, linebacker Xavier Atkins jumped in the portal as well. And then we learned on Monday, place kicker Nathan Dibert has entered the transfer portal, along with defensive lineman DeMyron Johnson, and just minutes ago, J.K. Johnson, the Ohio State transfer cornerback, announced he's entering the portal as well. I should mention Jair Brown, another Ohio State transfer, had already previously announced he was entering the transfer portal. So if you're keeping up with all that, the way that I've said it is, as sure as I'm going to wake up bald tomorrow, there's going to be more players enter the portal. It's just the nature of how this works now. No program is immune. I mean, there are programs who are preparing to play in the college football playoff who today have players entering the transfer portal. Again, think about it. There are programs who are preparing for the college football playoff who have players entering the transfer portal. That is a singular, looking out for number one approach, and I don't blame any young person. Like, yes, football is a team game. It's a team sport. However, the way that this has been built and structured, this is the schedule that it allows. And if young people are going to maximize their opportunity both on the field and financially, this is the window they have to do it. You have to go into the transfer portal now. And you're not going to wait a month or longer because the portal window will be closed. And even if you wait later in the portal window, those roster spots at some places may be filled. So you put yourself there. I understand it. It ain't great. I get it. For the coaches and the teams that are preparing for games and all that stuff. But this is the portal window that's out there. So I don't blame any young person that's taking the opportunity to see what opportunities are out there for them. Specifically, when you look at the portal and everybody is going to lose players like we always talk about, when you look at the collective loss, the turnover, the players leaving your program, what you hope to see are players that either never really found a role on the field, that are depth pieces. What you don't want to see are impact guys that were productive for you. Like, it's very disappointing to see Deshaun Womack, Shelton Sampson enter the portal, because those are guys with very high ceilings that it hasn't really materialized yet, but could. But that's okay, because they haven't contributed for you and other guys have who will be here. The one that stings is C.J. Daniels. C.J. Daniels was a productive receiver for you this year. You would love to have C.J. Daniels back for you next year. So him leaving is the one you look at so far and go, that's a guy that was productive for you this year. You'd love to have him back, but he's entering the portal. Barring something unforeseen, he'll play somewhere else next year. But the flip side of it is, while yes, you're watching players leave, this is also the opportunity where Austin Thomas and Brian Kelly and Frank Wilson and everyone associated with LSU's roster management and recruiting are keeping an eye on the portal, like constantly hitting refresh on that portal window to see who else is jumping in the portal and who else is available. So I want to run through a few names so far that we know and targets that LSU has. And I break things down into, as we always say, like wants, needs, and musts, right? A want is something that you like to have. A need is what it is. It's a player. It's a need, something that you need to address. A must is like there is no debate. Like you cannot leave this portal cycle without adding an impact player at those positions. Like a want for me, running back. Running back is a want. Like Josh Williams is leaving, but you've got Caden Durham returning. You're bringing in Harlem Berry, 5-star, number 1 running back in the country, and JT Lindsey. And maybe Trey Holly returns and is able to play next year. Maybe, we'll see. But you should be good. Worth mentioning as well, Juwan Johnson moved to running back. So you got enough bodies and you got your best guy back. Okay? That's a want. Running back would be a want. A need is offensive line. Like you've recruited very well on the offensive line, but you're losing 4 starters very likely. And you'd love to be able to add someone who's got experience. That's a want. Cornerback is a want because you're returning Ashton Stamps, who's a starter, and you're bringing in the 5-star number 1 corner in the country, and you're returning P.J. Woodland. Like, those are probably your first 3 guys when you open at Clemson next year. Linebacker, especially if Harold Perkins returns. West Weeks, Witt Weeks. We saw Devon Keys emerge this year as well. If Harold Perkins returns, that's another really strong body there at that position. And then quarterback is a want as well. When that could change, by the way, depending on what Garrett Nussmeier does. The needs. I'm sorry, the must. Like, not debatable. You absolutely must add somebody. Defensive end. You're losing both your starters. You've got rotational guys behind them. Defensive tackle. You've got to add an impact guy in the interior defensive line. Safety. Even if Jordan Gilbert and Sage Ryan return, which they can for 5th seasons, you were bad at safety. It was your greatest liability defensively. You must add an impact player at safety. Tight end. Like, you move Trey'Dez Green, you've got Kamori and Pimpton, and then J.D. LaFleur coming in. That's it. Like, that is a must. You must add an impact tight end and receiver. You must add, and you're losing 3 of your top 4 pass catchers. You absolutely must add an impact receiver. So, wants, needs, and must. So, let's look at it. Right now, I'll tell you there's 3 names at tight end to keep an eye on. And I think while I was out, Muse and Taylor talked about 2 of them. Luke Haas from Arkansas is a guy that LSU fans should remember. He went off for LSU a year ago in Tiger Stadium with 116 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's in the portal. Zach Atkins from Southwest Missouri State already has an LSU offer. He's 6'5", 245. If you look in the 24/7 portal position rankings, he's either the first or second best tight end in the portal. But the one that's really worth mentioning that jumped in over the weekend is Bauer Sharp. So Bauer Sharp is from Oklahoma, but there's a little bit of a caveat there with Bauer Sharp. So Bauer Sharp was a no-star coming out of high school. And he started his college career at Southeastern Louisiana in Hammond, where he's a quarterback. And this is something that program has done very well. They take athletic guys, bulk them up, and change positions. In particular, they've done that at tight end very well. So Bauer Sharp was a guy that was playing quarterback at Southeastern. They bulked him up, moved him to tight end. He became a very productive player, and this year played 1 season at Oklahoma. So you're talking about a guy that took advantage of the portal once to Oklahoma, where he was Oklahoma's leading pass catcher this year, by the way. And now he's in the portal again, and I'm told LSU has interest. So, and again, a guy with ties to Louisiana was playing down the road in Hammond for 4 years before he went to Oklahoma. Now he'll play a final year, hopefully or potentially, in Baton Rouge. So Bauer Sharp is one to keep an eye on. We also have to keep an eye on edge. As I mentioned, defensive end is an absolute must for LSU in this portal class. And there's one edge that's out there that's already listed his finalists, and it's Jamari Butler from Nebraska. So he's an edge from the University of Nebraska, and this is a guy who has a ton of college experience. So Jamari Butler was a COVID year signee. So he signed with Nebraska back in the 2020 cycle. So his freshman season was 2020, so it was a COVID year. Then he redshirted in 21. And then he's played the last 3 years now at Nebraska. So he is going to be playing a 6th year in 2025, and he's down to 3 finalists: Florida State, Texas A&M, and LSU. He's 6'5", 260. Over his career, 7.5 sacks. Again, in the 3 years that he's played, but 2 sacks and 7 TFLs this year. A season ago, he was honorable mention All Big Ten. We'll see what honors he may have this year in the Big Ten. But 6'5", 260, think Savion Jones. Think the big edge-setting guy that can help you against the run and can also rush the passer a little. Jamari Butler's absolutely one to keep an eye on. And the other who hasn't declared, but it's a familiar name that I have made some calls on, is Jacoby Matthews. The safety from Ponchatoula, who's a 5-star 2 years ago, signed with Texas A&M. In 2023, ended up starting 11 games for Texas A&M at safety. Jimbo Fisher got fired, as we all know. Mike Elko came in. We asked Billy Lucci over the summer at SEC Media Days about what happened there with Jacoby Matthews. Apparently, it was just a thing where new coaching staff came in. Maybe they didn't see eye to eye, whether it was on playing time or conforming within the program or whatever. Don't know, not mine to say or to provide any more info. What I can tell you, Jacoby Matthews entered the portal in the spring last year. And because he was in the spring portal window, he was ineligible to play at an SEC school. He would have had to go to another conference, and I was told he did have some major Power 5 or Power 4 interest, but didn't want to follow that path. So Jacoby Matthews did not play football in 2024. He took summer classes and is taking online classes so as to stay eligible. And the 2 schools in the spring portal window that I was told that he had the most interest in were LSU and Ole Miss. So that's absolutely one worth keeping an eye on. It's a familiar name that LSU just missed out on in the high school signing class 3 cycles ago. And Jacoby Matthews, again, played 2 years at A&M. This would count as the redshirt year, right? You know, you got 5 to play 4. So this would count as his quote-unquote redshirt year. And so he's got 2 to play 2. Wherever he goes, he's got 2 years to play 2. And Jacoby Matthews, I certainly have the feeling like he has been taking online classes to stay eligible so he can immediately get to a place this spring semester, go through spring football, and be ready to play in the 2025 season. And that's a former 5-star safety who was, I think, 4th or 5th on the team in tackles at A&M 2 years ago as a sophomore, and is a guy who LSU seemingly would have interest in finally getting to Baton Rouge. We'll see if they can make it happen. So as the portal window opens, I just want to clarify, so much is going to change. Like, just in the time I'm sitting here saying this, if we hit refresh on the portal, like, more names are going to be in, and there's going to be more targets and guys that commit elsewhere and so on. It's going to move very fast. But just some of the things worth keeping an eye on as far as wants, needs, and musts, and some players and names to keep an eye on. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.